and I was not very confident. What are you most excited about? I am so excited. A bad day doesn't mean a bad life. Okay, this one's going into relationships. Hey, that's life. It really is. Hi guys, I am gonna do a little Q&A today. I'm really excited about this. It's been a while since I've done a Q&A. Let's get comfy. We're gonna put the seat back. I was gonna do this in my living room, but y'all know a Q&A needs to be done in the car. This is where we have our chats. This is where we FaceTime. But if you're new here, I guess this is a good video to start with. I'm Sydney, and I have only done a couple of these Q&As, but I feel like I get the most connection out of these videos because you guys are able to kind of get to know me a little bit deeper. So we're just gonna dive right in. Last time I did one, it was about health and wellness because if you didn't know, I'm an online fitness coach. So a lot of that was about a healthy lifestyle, and I did get a lot of questions about that as well this time. But this one is honestly all across the board. We've got random questions. I screenshotted a bunch of really good ones, and I figured since there were a lot of repeat questions, I'll kind of just lump a couple into like the same question, if that makes sense. So let's get into it. Let me find my first one. Okay, so our first one is tips on starting a YouTube channel. I get this question a lot because I'm kind of all across the board on every platform. So a lot of people are like, where do I even begin if I want to start a YouTube channel, if I want to start a TikTok, an Instagram, and then now there's like the new app called Lemonade. I don't even know if this is going to be something or anything at all, but I also started that as well. So starting social media in general, I think that you need to go into it, and this is just my point of view, you need to go into it without any desire to make money off of it. I think that is why a lot of creators that have been here since like we didn't know TikTok was going to bring us anything, I think that's why a lot of them have been the most successful with it or have grown their platforms, because people can see right through you if you're just trying to make a dollar off of it. And I think that people can connect with you more if they feel like you are authentic and showing up as yourself with no gain from your audience. And I think that my favorite part about social media is that I loved sharing even before it brought me any kind of a job. Like I was just doing online coaching and I loved sharing with people, and I loved like showing my meals and showing things that I bought way before I even know that you could link stuff, before I even knew what Like to Know It was, before before Amazon influencers were a thing. Like I loved just sharing things, and I think that's a lot of the people that I also follow along with, that they just seem like they just enjoy connecting with people. So I think that one, starting with why do I want to have a social media platform, and is it because I want to share my creativity? Is it because I want community? Which that's my biggest thing. My biggest two things are like, I love channeling my creativity. Like I was never a math brain kind of girl. I definitely had an English brain or creativity side over math and science. And so I've always loved like writing about how I feel, and like I love sharing aesthetic photos, and I love, now that TikTok's a thing and YouTube's a thing, like I love kind of doing, almost making like a movie out of very simple things, like my morning routines, my nighttime routines. So I think digging deep into why you want to have a platform and what you want to share with the world, because you do have such a huge voice and you have something very special to share with the world, where if you plan on just duplicating another creator, or you plan on saying, oh, I really want to make a lot of money from this, I think that it's harder to focus on the community. So those are my biggest things. And like, if you really do just want to go into it and say, I want to make money off of this, maybe it's a YouTube channel on like showing someone how to do something, or maybe it's like more informative. Like let's say some things that when Jay was like in his fishing era, he was like going and watching YouTube videos, like informing him about how to fish for a certain fish. Like that's a different thing. If you literally want to start a business off of it, then that is like fine to go into it wanting to make money off of it. But if you're wanting to be a lifestyle content creator or an influencer, I think going about it without any desire to make it your full-time job, and I think that those are the people that end up making it a very big portion of their job because they genuinely enjoy it and it's sustainable. And I think even if you were to tell me that you couldn't make $1 off of social media, I would probably just share just as much. And even though it is a full-time job, it's very time consuming. I love it. Like, I don't feel like I get burnout really. And that's another question I got is, do I feel burnt out? And I have posted, this is crazy, I posted on TikTok every single day. I have not skipped a day in over 2 years, which is nuts. I understand that that's nuts, and maybe it's been like simple videos and not like craziness, but at the same time, like, I've literally posted every single day for 2 years. That's wild. What will be your new main platform if TikTok gets banned? I personally, obviously I do not know and I cannot tell the future, but I personally don't necessarily think that it's gonna happen. It might. I don't know. What do I know about TikTok? But if it does happen, I have Instagram and YouTube, obviously, and YouTube's definitely my favorite platform to share on. I feel like that is the easiest platform to build a community, so probably that. And then there is this new Lemonade app. Who knows where that's going, but just in case, I did make an account and I actually really like it. It seems like an Instagram and Pinterest combined, and I like that. Okay, let's dive into like more of like health and wellness and motivation and all the things. How do you stay so motivated and positive? And I think that I do a good combination of positivity and also realness, I think, on social media, is because I feel like I started showing a little bit more about like how I actually feel, and instead of just being like all is well in the world, because that's honestly how my brain is kind of programmed. Like, I try to just shut off any negative emotion and just be so positive, but at the end of the day, like, I think that your negative feelings or your sadness or your anxiety is like worth giving a little bit of energy to. Like, you need to lean into why you feel a certain way, and it's okay to not always be positive. Like, it's okay to like have a day where you say, okay, today sucks. Like, I can still look at the positive sides and I can realize that like I'm healthy and I'm able-bodied and life is good and I'm doing okay, but at the same time you can lean into like why you feel those ways. And that's something that I probably would credit therapy for, because when I first started therapy, I had something that was drawing me to therapy because I did it for so many years growing up, because my parents are really good about like getting us into therapy and talking about our feelings and everything, but I went away from it for a couple years, and when I got back into it, I literally said to my therapist, I don't know why I started with you, because all is good in my life and I am good and I'm happy and I have nothing to complain about. And she's like, I love your positivity, but I think that you are pushing down your real emotions, and you are telling yourself that because other people have it worse than you, you don't deserve to feel these things. And so we went into lots of different conversations about that, and so it's let me kind of be able to talk about my feelings, but also realize that like a bad day doesn't mean a bad life, or even a bad hour doesn't need to be a wash of a day. I used to be like that. Like, if I had a bad hour and something did not go as planned, then it was like a wash of a day and I just had a horrible day. So I've kind of moved on from that point of view, and have just realized like, okay, let yourself feel an emotion and then pick yourself right back up, because at the end of the day, like, there are so many amazing things about our lives. So I guess that answers that. How do you handle poor body image days? And I think that is another thing. Poor body image is something that is so mental. Like, I can look the exact same one day as I do the next, and I can feel great about my body one day and feel a little bit iffy the next day. And I think that's just like part of life. I will say that I've had to work on a lot of positive self-talk. I've seen my body in a lot of different forms and physiques over the years, and so it's really hard to not compare my current physique to my smallest, leanest, thinnest version of myself, because when I look at photos, that's when I look the best in my mind. But then I have to really dial it in and say, did I feel my best at that time? Did I feel the strongest? Did I feel the most clarity mentally? And I think the answer to that is probably not. Actually, I know it's not, because when I'm so hyper fixated on being the thinnest that I can, and I don't think I focus on that at all whatsoever anymore. I mean, like, we all feel the most confident when like our clothes fit us best and we feel like we feel good in our bodies in a bathing suit and all of that. But I also think that it's no life to live if you are miserably always worrying about your next meal, or you are always worrying about how you look and trying to be the thinnest you can. And that's something that when I had my abdominal surgery, if you are new here, I had an abdominal surgery that put me out of commission for a couple months, and I had to take away the idea of like getting satisfaction from my physique, and I had to really work on my mental clarity. And during that time I realized, like, okay, we really need to lean into energy levels, into strength, into relationship with food, into relationship with exercise. And I think your physique follows. I think you end up liking your physique a little bit more when you have the confidence of showing up for yourself. Like, there's some kind of confidence that comes from showing up and being consistent. And I think that even when I was my thinnest, I didn't feel like I had the most energy in my workouts, and I didn't have the most energy for a good mood all day, and I was not very confident. So I don't think that like being your leanest and being your thinnest equates to being the most confident. And I think if you've gotten your body to a thinner spot than what you're in right now, then you can realize that. I think that you probably got to that point and then said, okay, well, I reached my goal weight, or I reached my goal physique, and I'm still not content. And so I think my body image has improved so much since I realized that like those two don't go hand in hand necessarily. And it's not so black and white. It's not like, okay, I'm a little bit heavier and I'm not like as lean as what I could be. I am really negatively looking at my body. And then when I'm thin, I'm so confident and I feel amazing and I feel like so motivated and all of the things. Yeah, so I think your body image needs to come from being proud of yourself for being consistent, and also fueling your body with things that you want to fuel your body with, and moving your body in ways that you enjoy. And I think that you start looking at your body a little bit differently that way. But I also will not take away from your bad body image days, because we're human and we're normal, and sometimes we're on our period and we're emotional and we're bloated, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna wear a big sweatshirt. I think I'm gonna not wear something tight because I don't feel confident in that. And hey, that's life. It really is. Is it hard for you to be on vacation with others drinking or eating poorly? Okay, so is it hard for you to be on vacation while others are drinking? Or how about just weekends when people are drinking, or just in general when I'm around people that drink alcohol? I have no FOMO when it comes to alcohol anymore, and I used to, because I felt like I hated being the only person that was sober. And so, not even sober, I absolutely love being sober. I never had a problem with alcohol where I had to like wean off of it necessarily, but it was like a social thing. So I didn't like always being asked why I'm not drinking. I didn't like having to explain myself. So normally I would have a drink in my hand just for the sake of not being asked, or I would have one drink and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why can I not just show up and be like, yeah, I actually don't drink? And that's what I do now. And everyone in my life, like, they all know that I don't drink. No one questions it. No one thinks anything of it. It's just expected. And I think that a lot of people will be like, hey, I give you props. Like, I wish that I could give up alcohol. I don't like how it makes me feel. I don't like how it like impacts me mentally. And that's how I was. Like, I have never really been a big drinker, but when I would drink, I woke up feeling awful the next day. I felt so just anxious, I guess. I would have anxiety for sure. Even if I wasn't actually hungover, I would still feel anxiety. And I also hate the feeling of being hungover. Like, there's nothing worse than having a headache and feeling nauseous. And I did a couple years of that in college. And I think by the time that I was like, definitely by the time I was in my senior year of college, I realized alcohol and me just like don't really work out well. I don't like the feeling of not being in control of how I feel or how my body works, and like I don't like the feeling of not being in control. I really don't. So I gave up alcohol, and for the last year, I would have a drink every once in a while with, like, whether it was a special occasion or whether I was around a bunch of people that were drinking, I would have like one Moscow Mule or like one drink. And I would normally be like, why am I doing this? So now I personally will just order a Diet Coke with lime, one of my favorite drinks, or I'll have an Olipop, or I'll have something like that. And a lot of my friends are so supportive. Jay's so supportive, and they'll order drinks and then they'll order me a Diet Coke with lime, like as if they're ordering a cocktail. Which is why you should surround yourself with really awesome people, because I have a very good support group when it comes to that. Are you on birth control? If so, or if not, do you feel like it affects your results in the gym? I don't necessarily think, I'm not on birth control. By the way, I have not been for like a year and a half, going on 2 years. I don't think that it's impacted me or my physique very much at all. I didn't catch myself gaining weight or losing weight when I got off of off of birth control. When I first started birth control, I did gain a lot of weight. I gained probably 20 pounds pretty quickly. I had Nexplanon, which was a bar in my arm, and I felt like I was a stranger in my body. I hated Nexplanon, and that was just my own personal opinion. And that was years ago. That was when I was like 18. I got on it because they thought my migraines were correlated with my hormones. I had a really heavy, awful period, and that's why I got on that. And instantly I like wanted it out. I think I had it for like a year and a half, and then I got it out, and oh, it took away my period completely. Then I went right onto a pill because I just wanted, like I wanted to be on it. I was scared of having acne. I was scared of like having a really hard period. I didn't want migraines, just all of the things. So I stayed on it and I started taking the pill. And once I got off of that, the mental clarity that I had, and this is once again just me personally, do what works best for you. If you are on it for specific reasons, like not wanting to get pregnant, or you're on it for, you know, acne or cramps or whatever it might be, then listen to your body and listen to what works best for you. But me personally, I had horrible anxiety. I felt like I was depressed for a long time, and I was like, I don't need to be on this. Like, I want to regulate my hormones without being on a medication. It was the only medication I was on for years. And when I got off of that, it took me a couple months, but I was like, I feel good. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but getting off of it has felt really good because I'm not on any medication at all whatsoever. And I think that I've had some problems with acne, but I don't think that this has impacted me one way or another for the gym. I will say my periods are miserable now, and they didn't used to be. Like now they're almost debilitating. I still try and get like some kind of walk-in on those first few days, but I have horrible cramps when I have my period, and also have horrible lower back pain. What makes you able to stay focused and motivated in every aspect of your life? I think structure. I think that I've really gotten good discipline over the years of trying to figure out like what makes me feel good. And of course I'm not perfect at all whatsoever, and I'm not even perfect with my routine and my schedule, but I try to be as good as I can because I know that that's when I feel best mentally and physically. So that kind of just motivates me to wake up and get a workout in. It's not even really a question anymore. Like, working out is just part of my everyday life. And then also I realized that cooking at home and eating meals that fuel my body and are very nutrient dense help me far more than like going out to eat and getting things that don't really fuel me in any way. It's fun to do every once in a while, and it's fun to try new meals and stuff. But I also realize that I don't feel my best. So on a typical day, I think that that's probably what keeps me on track, is just knowing like how great it feels to be consistently good with my digestion, with my energy levels. Like, I sleep better when I have a good schedule, and I think that's a really good motivating factor. Serious question, do you ever eat junk food? You seem so disciplined, which, thank you. When I go on vacation, like when I was in Puerto Rico, I had ice cream and dairy and all of those things, and I had a stomach ache like every single day. So I try and steer clear from the junk food, but I will say that I love sushi, and I love eating out for a good meal like that. Like, sushi is probably what I'll go for every single time because I think it's the best tasting food ever. If you were to put a cheeseburger and fries in front of me, or sushi, and said like go based off of taste, I will choose sushi time after time. It is like the best thing ever. And then I would say that I incorporate some kind of treat, like whether it's some kind of chocolate or some kind of like peanut butter treat. I probably incorporate that every single day, so I never feel like I'm like losing out on something, or never feel like I'm missing out. And if I feel like I want to eat out, then I eat out, right? What is your favorite part of your morning routine and tips for developing a good routine? I think that starting small and building on it is a really good tip. So maybe get my Hatch alarm is my biggest tip, honestly. My Hatch alarm is what gets me up every single day. I used to press snooze for so long, and that definitely helps. So having things like that and getting rid of pressing snooze could be your first step, and then the next step can be making your bed every single morning. I think that my favorite part of my morning routine is just like the silence, because I don't go on social media for the first 30 minutes of the day. I love recording my morning routine. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of the morning, because I feel like I can kind of like channel my inner creativity, and also it keeps me off of my phone when my phone is being used for the camera, and I love editing that come later in the morning. But yeah, I think my favorite part of the morning routine is when I get up and I ice roll my face and I take my greens and I make my coffee at home, and I sit down and I plan my day out. I feel this like sense of peace and control in the morning. I don't feel like I've checked my email or text messages or DMs that can like shake me in any way. Okay, this one's going into relationships. So a lot of people ask a million questions about Jay. I know that that's like one of the most things, or that's one of the things that I don't share a ton about. Like I share him, but I don't really like share about a relationship. But I'd love to hear more about your relationship is one of them. And then a lot of people will say like, any talk about marriage, like when are you guys getting engaged, and you know, all of those things, and what's your favorite thing about Jay. So I guess we'll go into that next. I would say that Jay is like, if you guys don't see it in videos, Jay is the most calm and level-headed and patient person that I've ever met in my life. And I think that before him, I loved the idea of being by myself, and I isolated myself a lot because I didn't think that there would be someone that matches up with my values and my routine. And also I think that I have the tendency to think that I can take everything on my own and have a really hard time asking for help. And so when Jay came into my life and our relationship started, at first I didn't think I was going to share anything about a relationship, because previously I had never shared on social media any kind of relationship. I told Jay I will not share the person that I'm with until I'm married. Like that's what I've always said, because I don't want anyone in on our relationship. And so a couple months went by of like me and Jay kind of living off social media, and I would record more when he wasn't with me, and I would kind of just say, you know, stay out of the frame. Like I kind of just kept a lot of things a secret. And then I started seeing people out in public, and people would see, you know, me and Jay together, and they'd come up and I'd introduce him, and people obviously would message saying, hey, I saw you and Jay out, and because they had met him. And then people would say like, oh girl, I saw you with your new boy, or they'd catch on to little things on social media and realize like I'm in my passenger seat of my car or whatever that might be. And so I started sharing very small amounts of him, and people really liked seeing how we were together. And I realized I actually love how I am on social media when I'm with him. I started sharing more of my personality and like my humor, and I started actually liking social media even more, because I was able to share something really special with me with people that follow me along to know me personally. So when I started sharing him, people were like, I love him with you. I love you with him. You guys seem like you fit so well together. And I worried so much in the very beginning, like, am I sharing too much of our relationship? But I love that when I'm sharing him on camera, he's no different. Like there's not many people who don't do social media that don't kind of like freeze on camera. Like he is literally exactly what I share, like off camera. On and off camera. He's so patient. He's so willing to help me with my social media. He's so supportive of my social media. And then he also is just like the kindest, biggest teddy bear in the entire world. And then he keeps me accountable in every way. And I thought that I am a very disciplined person on my own, but when you have someone who doesn't let you slack on the things that you're really passionate about, I like that. Like I'll say, oh, I don't think I'm gonna do my YouTube video today. I'm just like really just kind of worn out, whatever. I don't really feel like posting. He's like, just do it. And if you don't like how it turns out, then you don't need to post it. Or I'll say, I don't really feel like working out. I'm just gonna walk. Like, I just feel lazy today. He'll be like, do you feel lazy or do you feel sore? Like, do you feel burnt out? Because if you just feel lazy, you'll always feel better after a good workout. Or, you know, something like that. I have the tendency of like not wanting to make a full meal. And so I'll be like, I'll just have a snack right now. He'll be like, no, like make something that's gonna make you feel good, nutrient dense, like put together a good meal. And he like stays on me for that kind of stuff. But he's also like gentle and patient, if that makes sense. So there's so many things that I could go into on that. And when people ask, the talk of the town is everyone's like, when are you guys getting engaged, and what do you guys say about marriage and whatnot? And I think this is the first relationship I actually went so long thinking that I'll never get married, and that's just, honestly, I did say that for a long time. I was like, I have no desire to get married. I don't see someone that I want to like really spend my life with. And then I met Jay, and you know that like talk of, or that line, if you know you know, or when you know you know. I felt that almost instantly with Jay, and I just was like, wow, I actually cannot imagine a life without him. And I can't imagine, when I look into the future, I can't even picture one single thing without having him by my side. And so yeah, we talk about our future all the time. It's like one of our favorite things to talk about, is like all of the things that we plan on taking on in our future and a life together. So he's really special. I love sharing him with y'all. I love, that's something I almost wanted to like keep him as my prized possession and not share on social media. But once I did, I gained a whole new love for social media, because I think that a lot of you guys start to see a different side of me too. There's a big difference between seeing me with the camera and then seeing me with someone else that's very important to me in the camera, because you just, it shows a different side of me, I guess, which I've said 3 times. What's the age difference between you and your sister? So my sister's 3 years older than me, and a lot of people will ask me how she works for me or works for my business, and she basically is my right-hand man with everything. Like, I have a business for social media, including my online coaching, so fitness coaching. So she helps me across the board with all of the back end things. She talks to my financial advisor and my accountant. She does a lot of bookkeeping with my accountant. She helps me with a lot of things for my launch dates for new clients. If anyone has a question on what coaching includes, she helps with that. She helps me with my calendar. I mean, she started off as an assistant, and now she just does like everything with me. She's very, very, I don't know how I ran a business for her, and I think that's something that I had a hard time with, because I couldn't delegate things. I wanted to do it all myself, and I realized like you can only go so far on your own. So having someone, it's the same thing with having a management team for my social media. I was like, I don't know how I did it before this, but having a management team made me realize like I need to be able to delegate stuff. Same with having my sister, being able to say like, hey, I really need help in these areas, helps me focus on my coaching, because at the end of the day, my fitness coaching is like my main job. That's my main priority, my baby, and that's what my business started as, just that. And so when all of the other things that are very time consuming started kind of making it harder for me to coach, I couldn't take on any new clients, I realized I needed help. So she is amazing. Her name's Shelby. She's like the best person in the world. I'm so close with her. Tell us about this new house. What are you most excited about? I am so excited. It's gonna be my first home. I'm gonna share more with you. I've shared a little bit on Instagram, like a couple pictures of the process. And it's a new build, and it's gonna be done. It's supposed to be done in May. I think they originally said end of April, and it's kind of looking like early May now. The process of moving, or the process of building, is insanity, and you never really know exactly how long it's gonna take. I feel like things are starting to get a little bit closer here now. It's April, which is crazy that like next month I'll be in my new home, if not sooner. I am so excited to have a garage gym. I'm so excited to have more space. I also just think that this is gonna be the home that I've started my life, but I think that this is gonna be like the beginning of my future. Like, I think that this is gonna be my home probably for the next at least five or more years, and a lot can happen in these next 5 years. I don't know, it's so crazy to look at and be like, wow, there's gonna be so many memories made in this house. I've lived in a different apartment or townhome for the majority of the last since 2016, so I've kind of been like hopping all over the place in different locations, and like having a home base that's going to be my home base for a while is so intriguing to me. But also I'm just excited to have all my family over. I'm going to have a guest room where people can stay and make a lot of memories. There's going to be a pool there as of right now. I'm hoping for like a pool and really awesome backyard. I'm going to have an office in there, which I have a little office right now in my apartment, but I want it to be like a really good creative space for me. And the awesome part is that the office is disconnected from the rest of the house, so it's not going to feel like I'm like needing to go and do laundry and stuff. Like I get to walk out and like leave the house and go into the office part. So I think that's what I'm most excited about. And it's been, I haven't shared a ton about it just because I don't know where to begin. I'm staying in Florida. I'm staying in this area, and so I love Tampa. I really do. And that's kind of just like my dream was to stay around family, and that's exactly what's happening. So yeah, stay tuned for so many home updates. Like you guys are like, I want to hear more about it, and right now like we were waiting on drywall to go up, and now drywall's up, and so the process is going to be moving along so much more. It's been the bare bones of the house where it's even hard for me to think, yeah, this is reality. Like I'm actually going to be living in this house soon. So now that I can like kind of envision things more going up and seeing the things happen, it is so exciting. I will say my lease for my apartment ends April 7th, which is like next week. So I'm having to do month to month for that. So my prayer is that it doesn't take a super long time because it's so expensive to rent month to month. Luckily my apartment even offers that, because a lot of apartments would make you do like 6 months or a year. So that's a blessing. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think that in the next probably month, less than a month, you guys will start to see like my process of interior design as I start to like buy furniture and do all of the things. You guys will have to let me know what you want to know, and I will do probably a whole series of like home building and like the whole process of going to the design meeting. That's something that I didn't know if I wanted to share at first, because I don't know, it's like scary sharing something like this. It's my first time doing this, and like being really aware of being private enough to keep my safety at stake. And obviously I'll probably will never show anything that shows what the front of the house looks like, which I think is very typical, and just make sure that like my one priority is safety. And I think that's why I've kind of refrained from sharing too much of the process going into the building process, because when you could go there and you could see through it, you could see the exact location and you could see, yeah, I just don't want to do that. So as the process goes on, you guys are going to see the whole process of interior design for me. And right now my bedroom set is going to be the guest room, so I haven't even thought about the master or the primary room or what furniture is going to go into that. Same with the living room. Like I have a couch right now. I don't even know if I want to keep that couch as my living room couch. So we have a lot of mood board planning. I also would love to have an interior designer. I don't even know what the cost of an interior designer is, but I think that I get very overwhelmed when it comes to interior design. Okay, I think that we've answered so many questions, and this is why I have to like kind of do a Q&A about one thing and then a next rather than put it all together. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little Q&A. I'm going to make sure I do a favorites video soon, because that was a lot of your questions. So I'm gonna do like an Amazon like to know it combined type of a favorites video of products and clothes that I've been loving. And then also I think that I'll probably do a Q&A combined with Jay and maybe have him in here with the car, or in the car with me. And then you guys can ask all the nitty-gritty questions that you want about like how we navigate fighting and arguments, and how we navigate keeping social media on and off of the screen. And I think that one of the good questions is like, how do you guys navigate arguments? And I think the best thing about me and Jay is that we take on arguments as if we are both coming together as a team and we're fighting whatever problem we have, rather than fighting against each other, and making sure that we are still bringing love to the root of things, and I think that that would be a good question to ask when I have him with me, and he's working, so I couldn't have him here with a Q&A, but I wanted to be able to answer all the other questions and do like a little chat about health and wellness in here as well. So we'll do a Q&A of me and Jay. That's been a really highly requested video, and I need to do this more often because there are so many good questions that go into it. And then I look and I'm like, it's been like an hour of me sitting here chit-chatting. So I love y'all, I adore y'all, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.